Hello, Troy and Rodney. Yeah, sorry about the loudness. I guess probably when I switched on the microphone. I normally switch it off when I'm not talking. I'm trying to encircle Japan. My problem is that they are pushing quite aggressively into India. I'm rebasing submarine flotillas in Philippines, which was never really threatened by Japan. They've never attempted to take it. My plan is to base a lot of submarine flotillas here and to really cut off Japan from its forces in India. And I think I've ordered a lot of submarines, but there is only one in the queue right now. There is another one here. I suppose I have to put more submarine flotillas into the queue. .3. Okay, so I have about here. I'm gonna add 3 submarine flotillas. Okay. Our naval bombers are raiding Japanese convoys. Off of Singapore and in the Strait of Taiwan. And I have task forces patrolling Japanese holdings in the Central Pacific. I'm also assembling a corps to go to India. It's going to be 4th Corps, 2 infantry divisions and an armor division. So this is going to be 4th Corps for India. These infantry divisions do not have support right now, because I wanted to focus on upgrading my forces in the Pacific, but I guess eventually I'll have to bring in brigades for those divisions. So this is now the 3rd flotilla. Here, unfortunately, 2 of those are damaged. They're going to have to repair. This is the Argonaut class. Currently at the Sargo Tambor class, so those must be older submarines, maybe pre-war, I'm not sure. Porpoise is also, yeah, those are all pre-war classes, I believe. Anyway, the fully ready. We are thinking there is a convoy lane going through South China Sea. We'll have this flotilla raid convoys here. And eventually we will bring, I think we have a flotilla fresh from basically the naval yard. Torgo Tambor, that's the newest class that we have. We'll have it also rebase to Manila. And at this point Manila is fairly well protected, although we did pull a few divisions from here. We still have an infantry division, 2 actually, and 4 regiments of garrison troops, along with the Philippine army. We have a carrier task force patrolling. We have reinforced the British defense of Malaysia with a total of 4 divisions. 5 actually. 8th division is protecting Singapore proper. And the combined American-British fleet is hunting some Japanese fleet. I'm not sure. What do I have? Battleship 4 carriers, 2 destroyer flotillas. 4 heavy cruisers, I mean. I think the British have a light carrier here, so we might be after a Japanese submarine flotilla. Okay, and we're going to significantly increase industrial production. There are a few other things I would like to get, particularly in terms of electronics. But at the end, nothing beats more production. I think there is a Japanese heavy cruiser now, because I bring 4 cruisers to the area, so the 5th one must be a Japanese one. Turns out it is a destroyer, so maybe the British have one here. But USS Chicago is damaged. I'm going to... Okay, and the British join with their light carrier HMS Eagle. Okay, so the 5th heavy cruiser is HMS Dorsetshire. And their 15th destroyer flotilla. Which, yeah, so we sink the Japanese destroyers. Now I'm want to bring these transports to Hawaii. And the Japanese are coming after our convoy hunters. What do they have here? Battle cruiser, carrier and a light carrier, a heavy cruiser, 3 light cruisers. Not a small force, but it's not biggest force either. And they have another carrier strike group further north. I guess they're starting to feel the pain a bit. Going to rebase that flotilla as well for the moment. Yes, I'm also trying to build up a formidable Air Force, strategic Air Force. I'm going to keep researching this for the time being. Let's counterattack here. See if this will eventually stop them. I think we're actually safe here. I can simply send these transports to Hawaii. I don't have to escort them. And in turn, I can bring those 2 task forces back north. Okay, these transports bring the rest of my invasion force. As I said, we are going to do island hopping, starting with Inuiatuk, because they have a large airbase. Well, not a large one, but they have an airbase and a port. want to systematically take all the Japanese holdings in the Central Pacific. So I have 3 infantry divisions here with fairly good leaders, but no support brigades. But I think that's fine for amphibious warfare around the islands. And then I have 2 more experienced and more heavily equipped infantry divisions, the 20th and the 21st. So I have a total of 7 divisions now. And I think I'll do one after the other. Maybe not attack simultaneously. And I have 4 task forces here as well to protect the invasion. Task forces 15 and 18 and 14 and 12. Meanwhile, 4th Corps is assembling. And we're about to pick up 2nd Armored. Go to India. 4th Corps will sail to India via South Africa. And hopefully we will arrive in time to stop the Chinese-Japanese onslaught. We're going to wait a bit longer until the battle fleets are in position. As I said, 2nd Armored is going to India. Germany decides organized defenses. which doesn't make too much sense. They've actually defeated the Soviet Union and they're currently unthreatened on the European mainland. We have to go and check out what that's about. All right, the Allies did... sorry, the Axis did decide to invade Switzerland. And I think it has to do with that, maybe because Switzerland here managed to cross across Lake Constance. Maybe that's why Germany panicking. They actually also invaded Italy, the region of Chiavenna. They're crossing out of Ticino and Wallis into northern Italy. But of course they've lost the northern lowlands, basically the industrial heartland. They are going to lose Winterthur and Zurich. I think Switzerland did join the Allies as well. Yeah, they did join the Allies upon declaration of war. But there is nothing that the Allies can do at this point to help them. Might hold on for a few weeks or so, but since they're in the Allies, we actually have pretty good information on them. They're not mobilized, as you can see. Most of the regiments are under strength. Italy wasn't ready for declaration of war. They're evacuating a core HQ from Milan. They're scrambling some infantry divisions from all around northern Italy. I think Germany will not take too long to conquer Switzerland. Speaking of Italy, they're still occupying the British in Africa, which is another area where I would like to help them, but I have to make a priority of India. I think the UK can afford to lose Africa, or at least Eastern Africa, because it doesn't look like the Italians are able to push much further south. The South Africans are putting up a pretty stiff resistance, and I think they're actually driving them back ever so slightly. But India is a different thing. A lot of pressure there. I'm doing what I can to help them. I'm kind of putting out fires everywhere. I don't have, or we as the United States do not have the initiative yet, except for maybe in the Central Pacific. But right now I'm just putting out fires in Asia, Malaysia and India, for that matter. So maybe Japan having all its troops in, or a lot of its troops in Asia, and not really challenging us in the Pacific, is asking for a decapitation. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'll keep researching the strategic air commands. See, until August and September. And I think after that we'll switch back to pilot training and ground crew training. But there are a lot of things I need to research. Also, I have a few crew trainings that are behind, actually. At least I got around to research regimental combat teams. Improving my infantry. In terms of ground forces, I would have to improve my tank doctrines and crew trainings as well, artillery training. In terms of theory, I want to go further in nuclear research. I should improve my supply technologies as well. In terms of industry, I have a few technologies to research, particularly cryptography, radios, radar, agriculture, and so on. In terms of fighters, I'm actually behind. Bombers, pretty much the same picture. I also want to equip my planes with radar. So I'm researching in this area. My capital ships are pretty good, which is why I'm commissioning a lot of capital ships. My escorts, good guns, good cruiser techs, but submarines and destroyers are lacking a bit. Armor, I have a good base now, especially for light tanks. But the actual tanks that I'm building are not that great yet. They're pretty much pre-war tech levels. Then my infantry techs are more or less up to date. A few exceptions here, especially in anti-tank weaponry. Good evening, John. I'm good, thanks for asking. How are you? Okay, we're bringing more and more submarine flotillas into Manila. 12th division is already almost back to 100%, and 10th as well. Okay, the attack on Georgetown is cancelled. Let me support the counterattack. Maybe, or maybe not. We'll see about this. But anyway, we have developed mechanized infantry, which is don't remember where was it being researched. Maybe here. Oh yeah, up here. Okay, that means we can now train mechanized infantry regiments, which I want to do eventually to attach to my armor divisions. And where should we put this? Research point. We could improve for mountain infantry. For urban warfare. Sometimes when I'm not sure, I'm just picking the one project where I'm furthest behind. Arctic warfare is not a priority, so I'm ignoring that this time. I guess then otherwise those two are the ones where we're furthest behind. Let's go for light small arms modification. How long is that gonna take? Takes until December. Let's check in on production to see. We're building carrier air groups, which we don't really have a need for, I think, or is it not sure I remember. Because it's possible that we had carriers that didn't have carrier air groups. I hope I didn't send these carriers into battle. This one is fully equipped. No, I think we recycled. Wait. Task Force 15. Okay, that's only a light carrier, so that's why it only has one air group. I think we recycled because one of our heavy or large carriers got sunk, which gave us 2 spare air groups to work with. We have 2 light carriers here and 2 air groups. Okay. We are sinking convoys here. I wanted to send Chicago for repairs. Okay, we cancel the attack here, as it's not going anywhere at this point. Let's see if we can get some additional... Guess we'll send this understrength submarine division in as well. Not sinking convoys anymore over here. So we'll also rebase 17th submarine division. Very successful here, especially our naval bombers, I guess. If we can, we should make more naval bombers available. Maybe those naval bombers should go to Manila instead. There are no Japanese counters at this point. I guess they're trying to hunt submarines. And Admiral Yamamoto Isoroku is afoot with a battlecruiser, 2 battleships, a carrier or destroyer flotillas, a light carrier and a light cruiser. I suppose they're trying to hunt down... Either they're trying to hunt down the convoy raiders, or they are looking to confront Task Force 41. Which would probably not end too well for the Americans. So might be smart to escape into port until we know what's going on with this task force. And over here we're trying to set up around the island. Have a lot of carrier air groups on this island station, so my bombers will probably have kind of a hard time. We'll start with ground attacks. It looks like there is only one division here, so I'm only going to try the invasion with the two marine divisions for the time being. Good evening, Triple Z and Kaiserloch. I think there are still convoy routes going to these Japanese holdings. We must have supplies coming in here. There's a small fleet in Saipan. And the transports have arrived off Eniwetok. And we're now going to invade. We have finished 2 units of industrial capacity. I think we went from something like... I think we got around 10 additional IC from the technology that we developed. We should probably get some naval support in. But the battle progress is pretty good. And then we have a port strike in Singapore. A carrier. Right, okay, so the passing Japanese fleet. Quite small, actually. Thing is, my fleet is already in port now. So it looked much bigger. Maybe there are 2 fleets. Yeah, it looks like there are 2 fleets. This might only be a submarine, though. Where did the rest go? I guess it was a different fleet moving north. One of our submarine flotillas is operating south of Taiwan, but we are... This is quite a large fleet. I think that's a fleet that they are returning from the Indian Ocean. But they managed to sneak it through the Singapore Strait. Or it is a fleet that's coming from Japan but has been ordered to turn around. Hope it's the latter. And there is a different fleet just east of Taiwan. We don't know too much about. I think maybe that fleet, this fleet here, is just patrolling around Taiwan, probably because they notice the losses in convoys that they're taking here. So the Japanese carrier is still striking Singapore, but there are actually quite a few allied air units here. And we did get a message about Switzerland, so let's take a look. The Germans are now in central Switzerland. Lucerne was taken. Zurich heavily defended, but the mobilization is still ongoing. Swiss mountain infantry is retreating back across the border. The Italians have been able to scramble quite a few divisions now. 4, 6, 7, 10 divisions from the south. And several armies from the north. Geneva has fallen. Bern is threatened. And the Swiss are also retreating again from across Lake Constance. We have, meanwhile, improved single-engine aircraft armament. Incurs a speed loss, but is improving our soft-attack air attack for most planes. Question is... Right, so that tech is exhausted for the time being. Do we need range? I'm kind of opting for escort fighters for our medium and heavy bombers. So that's where we're going next. There are other techs that will finish soon. Our control system that's benefiting the Navy. Okay. Okay, and another submarine flotilla has arrived in Manila. We will send it out to patrol the Strait of Taiwan. I think 4th Corps is ready to move out, ready to ship to India. We did finish 3 units of IC and we did not replace those in the production queue, which we will do right now. That's 2 plus 6, 10, 14, 18. I also did finish a unit of strategic bombers we haven't replaced. For the 1st National Guard Division is going back to the mainland for retraining. Triple Z, I'm glad I'm streaming. I enjoy this game much more than any other game I have in my library. And I'm glad you can enjoy it. We haven't checked in on the intelligence tab in a while. I did have to downsize my intelligence operations quite a bit. Most notably, you can see that Italy isn't in here anymore. By now, by this time, they have eliminated all our spies. Don't show up here anymore. I had to shore up my domestic counter-espionage efforts. And I'm focusing on China. I was trying to, because I do have a lot of covert operations points. I'm trying, or I think I attempted to topple their government, but I can't unless their our own party is stronger. Because I was not too inclined to fight for the entire Chinese territory. That will use up a lot of my troops that I need elsewhere. But maybe that's misplaced efforts. And I still have a lot of spies in Japan and some in Germany. So I think I'm going to change those priorities. I'm going to spy more on Japan. In Japan, I'm mostly interested in military espionage. As expected, the Chinese are trying to get rid of the American convoy hunters. I'm trying to tighten the grip. You take a lot of damage, so I'm going to order that mission back to port. 10th Division is disorganized, but I'm going to send it into action. See where we have a gap. Over here. And didn't we send additional naval bombers here? Yes, we did. So okay, finally. Anyway, took falls to US troops. This means we can go and pick up garrison force. Then we'll give the Marines some time to rest, and then we'll move on to... Actually, I think I'm going to split these transports. We might go and attack Ponape with the regular infantry over here. Going to redirect the medium bombers to Ponape. And that's right, we have forces in Europe. We have, I believe, 3 divisions supporting British coastal defense. We also have a carrier task force actually here. And sometimes we do run into Germans. So here I have a light carrier, a heavy cruiser, a light cruiser, and a destroyer flotilla. And in the bottom right, we see that there is a battle cruiser and what has to be an additional German destroyer flotilla. So Germany did kind of manage to keep some of its naval force. We do know about possibly a battle cruiser and a battleship in Brest. More naval assets in Brugge. I'm not quite sure where the rest of their navy is, but I think they used to have more. They might have moved. There's something going on here off the coast of Morocco. They might have moved some of their navy to the Mediterranean, maybe into Italian ports. We don't know. Looks like Yugoslavia evacuated its fleet to the Red Sea at some point. Over here, the South Africans are still pressuring the Italians. And actually the US did bring submarines into the Mediterranean. Italy has seized Cyprus for quite some time. The British did manage to hold out here. But right now, the British do not have a single island that they control. They only control Gibraltar. They haven't really reinforced it, so it's actually quite threatened. But they are, again, trying to land in Sardinia. I don't agree with necessarily. I don't really have anything that I could send to help them. But maybe it is necessary. Thing is, I just dispatched a corps to India. I think putting a stop to the Chinese-Japanese offensive in India is more important than seizing Sardinia from Italy. We're going to switch from fire control system training to capital ship crew training, I suppose. The 11th Division made it into port safely. Okay, as we said, we are going to split these transports. We'll now take up position off of Ponape and seize that as well. There is a small garrison force as well. Okay, we'll try with the 2 infantry divisions. If that doesn't work, we're going to pick up at least 1 marine division. We actually still have additional infantry here. I'm going to bring 3 regiments over to Eniwetok. Fighter pilots are improved, so now we're going to train better bomber pilots, helping our medium and naval and heavy bombers. Speaking of heavy bombers, we did somewhere deploy a wing of heavy bombers. One will go and reinforce Strategic Bomber Command in the United Kingdom. As you can see, we're still quite far behind in a lot of text. But eventually we'll have a nice and powerful strategic air force. Can we now actually run into a Japanese force? Japanese currently have the upper hand, but our reinforcements are on the way. Wait, this is off of Eniwetok. Oh, okay. Okay, so we have to actually turn around our battleship task force. Probably our carrier task. Well, cannot reach yet. have heavy fighters here that I can use. For additional air support. Battleships are about to move in. Destroyers took damage and USS Quincy. And it looks like we've managed to save all the ships, but the Japanese fleet is now trying to run away. Let's see if we can pursue. I want to extract the damaged units from this fleet. I'm wondering where the Japanese are going, which way are they moving? I should probably turn around my transports. Until the air is clear. Japanese went this way. They are damaged. We did reacquire Japanese fleet, but only with our small reduced force, which is not optimal. I was hoping that I could catch them with my battleships. Which they're almost there. Okay, now it looks much better. Although we're only damaging the battle cruiser, not the carrier. Hopefully that'll change. Okay, this is the... must be the landing on Sardinia, yeah. The British did land a infantry division. It's a large naval battle going on. They will lose a destroyer flotilla. Maybe a carrier. I don't know why they brought this damaged carrier here. Seems kind of odd that the Italians would be able to damage carrier with just 2 heavy cruisers and a light cruiser. When we're here, let's take a look at Switzerland. A Slovak division, I believe, is about to cross the Alps. Switzerland being split into 2 parts. They've lost most of the plains. Bern, Geneva and Lucerne have fallen. Zurich and Saint-Gall are still under Swiss control. Mobilization is still not concluded for the most part. Japanese are fleeing south. I suppose they are trying to run to port here. Barely managed to save the heavy cruiser and destroyer flotilla. Sinking a lot of transports. And we have managed to reacquire Japanese fleet with one of our battleship forces. So hopefully this time going to inflict some serious damage. And it looks like it very much looks like it. So this time actually a light carrier goes down as well, but I think a large carrier makes his escape. But a battle cruiser, 2 light cruisers and a heavy cruiser alongside this light carrier. I think that's a pretty good result. Okay, we're going to try this again. Actually, I think the Marines are arriving. Took a bit of damage for the battleships. I think right now, there are no more Japanese forces really that threaten us. We can safely take Ponape. That's a lot of Japanese transports going down. We're also sinking some transports here. I suppose maybe those were oilers flying the Japanese task force coming out of Ponape. Not sure. So, where are the Marines? I'm wondering. Oh, they're still over here. Alright, I think I forgot to pick them up. Okay, so in this case, we will just get going with the infantry. Our fighters don't have a lot of range, so I cannot protect my submarines convoy hunting against the Japanese. On the other hand, we did sink quite a force now, so could actually probe the Japanese Navy strength. We could probe. I guess we will wait until we have want to be able to bring some task forces over. I think I'm going to reduce strength of the invasion force here once we secured Truk. So let's do Ponapit and Truk. We don't encounter any major problems. German naval bomber against our task force off the coast of Ireland. I think we were patrolling here with this task force against German raiders, which still makes sense. There are a few convoy hunters afoot. I don't know exactly this. It looks like the British are taking Sardinia once more. Their fleet is heavily damaged, at least whatever they have in port here. I don't know what their fleet is doing. I don't know. I'm not sure that they can use the Suez Canal. They probably shouldn't be able to. Italy controls the surrounding terrain. Actually, these two divisions can reorganize here. Then we can sail to Truk directly if everything goes smoothly. Still some light carriers around. I'm not sure how many. The Japanese still have at least one carrier which they're bringing over, so we have to pay attention to those reinforcements. We know about battle cruisers and battleships in Saipan, but it could still come over and cause some problems. I'm sorry, did they... Okay. Lockwood managed to escape, that's good. Transports are here with the infantry. In terms of land doctrine, you're pretty far behind in tank crew training. Even further in tank exploitation. This is excellent hunting ground here. We're sinking ships every other hour, basically. Not going too badly. The battle for Ponape. Even though we're not using naval infantry. A weak defense of only a regiment of garrison and a regiment of militia, basically. Another force on the move. Battleship and a battle cruiser protected by a light carrier, basically. What about this other force that was moving west? We don't know where it went. Let's start to convoy raid directly off the coast. But there is a light carrier, a carrier and a light cruiser made it into port. I want to make sure we catch those. I'm going to have my surface action groups moving north. Careful, there is another task force Japanese with a carrier. And the Australians joined the fray with a naval bomber. Wing of naval bombers. Not sure where they are coming from. I think I'm going to try and intercept this carrier task force. We have our own fighters above the task force. That's a carrier, 3 destroyer flotillas, and a light carrier. This could spell the end of the Imperial Japanese Navy if everything goes well. Task force came and is turning around. I think I'm probably should have done this earlier, but those are mostly old battleships and cruisers. I have a carrier task force. At this rate, I'm not going to catch them, but the force is retreating. But they're attacking my freshly captured port in any way took. I have some spare fighters in Hawaii. It looks like that force is retreating, so my transports took a lot of damage. Nevertheless, I'm going to bring them. to support the invasion. And obviously they will have to go for repairs. Nepal has been conquered. Indians cannot hold up. Japanese still have a lot of divisions here. Looks like the Japanese are disorganized here, so we're going to try and see if we can push the front line north a bit. We're starting to lose the air battles, but on the ground with the additional 2 Marine infantry divisions. This should work out fine. Finally, 4th Corps has made it to South Africa. Now on to the 2nd leg. And I think we're sending the Corps to the Eastern Front in India. We're sending the 4th Corps to Madras. So what we can hope to do here is to capture the light cruiser and carrier and sink them. Additional wing of heavy bombers. We're going to need more. And speaking of those heavy bombers, what's going on with them actually? Let's see if we can get some air raids in again on Germany. Looks like we're get the front moving here. My cruiser is almost destroyed in port anyway. The Germans have pretty good fighter defense. But one raid does 0.7 in damage to IC, which is not too bad. I'm going to need more and better heavy bombers. Yeah, but we take a lot of damage. Losing transports. Not good. We're losing... Ooh, I think we lost an infantry division as well. My own planes are resting instead of attacking. Kind of a disaster. Come on. We lose the last transport. I think I lost 2 infantry divisions here. Yep. I hope we can at least catch those carriers. I think the light cruiser already went down and the carrier should go down. That's my hope. Yep, okay. So I traded 2 infantry divisions with support. That's not so good. That has been kind of a disaster. And the Japanese are still striking me. So Ponape has been extremely costly. Switzerland about to be defeated. Seventh Submarine Division made it to Gibraltar, hopefully safe from Italian bombers. And then finally an attack on Manila. Word strike. But I have my own fighters countering the Japanese naval bombers. I'm going to evacuate my submarines. Hopefully saving them. Okay, this was needlessly costly, but at least we're making progress in Malaysia and somewhat in the Central Pacific. And we're bringing troops to India. Halfway there anyway from US mainland. Would call that some progress. And I think I'm going to take a break here, and I'll be back, I think, next weekend. So I want to thank everybody for stopping by, and I wish you a nice evening and a good start into the week tomorrow.